the world's greatest assassin versus the world's greatest detective. These two titans of the comic industry have been matched up against each other countless times in various animated movies, TV shows, comics, and of course, video games. We are the Hive Mind, and in this video, our aim is to analyze both fighters' abilities, skills, gear, and past encounters to determine who would win in an all-out fight between the two.
First, let's take a moment to understand the powers and origins that define these formidable contenders. As probably all of you know, Batman, also known as Bruce Wayne, is the iconic vigilante of Gotham City. When he was a child, his parents were gunned down in an alley by a lone mugger, and he swore on their memory to become a symbol of fear to all those who wish harm upon the innocent. He traveled the world and trained to the pinnacle of human physical and mental perfection. He relies on his intelligence, martial arts prowess, and arsenal of high-tech gadgets to combat crime. On the other side, we have Deathstroke, the lethal assassin and tactician with enhanced strength, agility, and a healing factor. Formerly known as Slade Wilson, Deathstroke's journey is marked by military experiments, turning him into a superhuman force to be reckoned with. Some important things to note about Deathstroke's character is he fights to achieve victory through killing his opponent, and when he fights Batman specifically, he fights his hardest. When asked why he's after Batman, he says that money isn't a factor when it comes to the Dark Knight. He holds fighting Batman and taking him down so highly. Something else to note, which should be obvious, is that Batman holds back his strength, speed, and best techniques against anybody with the capability of dying, meaning he's always fighting humans at a disadvantage.
Now, because these are comic book characters and are martial artists who consistently improve, we will analyze all of their fights in chronological order so we can determine who has the most recent and consistent line of scaling over the other.
Their very first fight takes place in Batman issue 122, which starts with Slade trying to assassinate Dick Grayson. Before Slade could even get off his killing shot, Batman intervened and it leads to a scuffle between the two. It was a quick interaction where they were going relative the whole time, until Batman spears him, then floors him with a swift right cross. Although Batman is shown to be slightly superior here, this fight isn't valid to gauge who is the better fighter. We later find out that Slade is under the effects of Joker toxin, so this fight would be unapplicable due to Batman not really trying to beat Slade but just get answers as to who hired him to kill Dick Grayson, and Slade not functioning at his full capabilities because he was under the effect of Joker toxin.
Moving on to their next fight, it takes place in Deathstroke the Terminator issue number 7. Batman and Slade clash fists once again, but this time it is Slade who is the decisive victor. However, just like the previous encounter, there is context involved. Here, Batman had to come find Slade and speak with him in hopes of helping Slade clear his name, not outright defeat Wilson. Although Batman had been the aggressor, the purpose of him attacking Slade was just to keep him from running off, not to initiate a fight. We see this as Batman disengages and begins conversing. Deathstroke, however, wants no part of this, opening with an attack which Batman easily blocks. Slade returns the favor by easily defending, and this exchange of Batman trying to speak with Deathstroke and Deathstroke trying to evade continues until Slade has enough and overpowers Batman, stating that what makes him better than Batman is that Batman was trained to fight, where Slade was trained to kill. Some argue that Slade choosing to leave both times is indication of Slade not fighting to kill Batman in this fight, but like he established at the end of their fight, Deathstroke fights to kill. It is simply a matter of Deathstroke's goal in fighting Batman to begin with was not to kill Batman, so when achieved victory without needing to kill Batman, there was no need for him to finish the job. Overall, Slade being the winner within this fight doesn't really show blatant superiority to the Caped Crusader due to Batman both not wishing to fight and actively attempting to stop fighting and converse with Slade.
Now, the next fight they have is damn near one-sided, and if circumstances didn't call for the fight getting stopped, Slade no doubt would have mopped the floor with Batman. The fight takes place in Detective Comics issue 710, where Batman attempts to interrupt Slade from his assassination mission. Batman opens by catching Slade by surprise. The two get into a quick brawl, with Slade easily dispatching Batman with just 2 hits, where if not for Slade needing to catch his target, he could have ended Batman in this moment. The rest of the encounter consists of Batman's getting up to off-guard Slade, just to get knocked down again and repeat the cycle one last time with Batman, eventually forcing a win. This is a clear showing of superiority by Slade. However, it is important to note that just 9 months after this, Nightwing demolished Slade utterly and completely. Bro couldn't even touch him. Nightwing is a character who is stated to be second only to Batman, so this would be scaling to show Batman over Slade, showing us although Batman got beat up badly by Slade, Batman is able to improve.
Okay, so their next fight in Deathstroke issue 5 is by far the two's most brutal battle, and it really works to show the rivalry that these two characters share. Within this run, Slade is actually in a younger body, but he explains that he's fighting at a disadvantage though, since he has his second eye and he's not used to that. Although this number may be a little bit of a stretch, Tony Daniel tweeted out that Deathstroke was operating at around 25% of his maximum capabilities, Tony Daniel being the writer of the issue. So they open up the fight with Batman slapping away Deathstroke's wrist, which is disarming him of his blade and also opens Deathstroke up for 2 quick strikes. Be in mind that Deathstroke specifically notes within this fight that Batman not killing is an advantage that Slade has and can press. This again just highlights the fact that Slade fights with the intention and willingness to kill where Batman does not. Slade attempts to gain some control of the fight, taking it to the ground, but Batman easily rolls with the blow to get Slade in a headlock, forcing him to fight brutally, but Batman retaliates by just dragging his face in the mud. Batman is beating Slade's ass so bad in this fight that Slade, by his own admission, needs to resort to throwing Batman off of his game. He does this by bringing up his son and how if anything happens to him, it would be Batman's fault. This obviously triggers an emotional response within Batman and it makes him sloppy. This had given Slade the edge he needed to be able to contest the Caped Crusader. And even with all that happening, Batman is still giving Slade the fight of his life. And it's even specifically noted that Batman is holding back his strikes. And again, just like their second fight, Slade leaving without killing Batman is just because he has more pressing matters and his original goal was never to kill Batman. So this doesn't contradict Slade fighting to kill Batman during their fight. Yeah, so overall, this fight can't be used to scale one over the other because again, Slade was disadvantaged and Batman was holding back.
Moving on to the more popular encounters, which are the famous fights in Deathstroke's Rebirth run. Starting in issue 32, Batman and Deathstroke go relative in combat while using gear. Batman has his enhanced gauntlets and vibrating batarangs, while Slade has his icon armor and titanium staff. Where things really get good is issue 34, which sees the two engage in an all-out fight within the Batcave using their vintage suits. Slade starts with a sword slash which Batman dodges. Batman then dodges another strike and counters by overwhelming Slade with the Batcomputer's electrical wiring and opens him up for attack. Next, Slade's blades actually summon bats from the Batcave and they swarmed him, forcing Slade to pull out his titanium staff to disperse them. After Slade starts using his staff, Batman also picks up his energy gauntlets from the Batwing to match Slade. In retaliation, Slade rips a Gatling gun off the Batmobile and starts spraying at Batman, but Batman is able to evade and jump on Slade from the side and starts beating the dog shit out of Deathstroke. In Batman's fit of unfiltered rage, Slade slipped a knife in Batman's abdomen, knocking him out alongside Slade. Now comes the most interesting part of the fight. Slade once again is directly admitting that if Batman was to stop pulling his punches against Slade and go for the kill, he would kill Slade. Now most people say this statement is not valid because of multiple different reasons, but it's very unlikely and here's why. First, they say it's just smack talk and not real. But the problem is all of their smack talk has been based around the harsh truths of each other's characters. Batman brings up how Slade could and should be a hero, and his son is what Slade was created to be. Whereas Slade brings up how Batman could be a great assassin and killer like how his son was born to be. Batman speaks on how Slade is a bad parent and a bad person. And Slade speaks on how Batman isn't mentally healthy. All things that are true. So why wouldn't this statement be true? The next issue, the fight continues briefly with the two just going equal when exchanging blows, so it leaves the fight as a stalemate. But it's very clear that Batman was just a superior combatant in terms of skill and speed within the fight. Batman had hit Slade 8 times and had dodged or evaded a total of 4 attacks. Whereas Slade on the other hand had only blocked 1 attack because Batman made him on purpose, and Slade had only landed 2 strikes. So although they finished the fight in the same place, this was definitely a better showing for Batman.
Next up is this encounter which takes place in Batman Universe issue 1. The fight being just as one-sided from their fight back in the 90s in Detective Comics. Only difference here is Batman is the one being shown blatant superiority. In this comic, Batman is tracking down the Riddler, and because Batman is looking for the Riddler, Deathstroke gets hired to keep the Riddler safe. The two get into a fight and Batman easily takes down Slade while at the same time immobilizing the Riddler. After Batman getting distracted by the Riddler trying to escape, Slade then lands an off-guard on Batman while Batman was distracted. Slade then gets taken down by Green Arrow and the fight is stopped there. Slade being hired to defend Riddler to some people means that he was just hired to distract Batman. In other words, means he's not fighting to beat Batman. But this doesn't really make sense for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 being, Slade fights to kill and he loves to take any opportunity he can to have a good fight with Batman. And reason number 2 being, if Slade could KO or just kill Batman, it would be way more effective for the Riddler to escape.
Their next fight is a fight that is actually split up between 2 comics, Batman 2016 number 86 and Batman Secret Files issue number 3. In this encounter, it is shown that Joker paid Deathstroke's Nightwing portion of the Wayne fortune if Slade distracts Batman and gets captured to release the rest of the squad within prison. This inevitably leads to Slade running into Batman once again and the two squaring off. We actually cut away from the fight to see Batman injured with Slade knocked out on the floor, showing that Batman was the winner of the fight, so many people obviously claim this as an invalid fight, seeing as Slade needed to lose on purpose. But this is only true if you don't take into account the clear context within Secret File, which actually shows us the missing events within Batman number 86. Slade tells Batman how he took the job because he wanted to see this unhinged Batman, because after the events of City of Bane, Batman is noted to be crazier than usual by the criminals, so essentially Slade just wants to see what this version of Batman is. Again, just showing Slade's consistency and his character of wanting to fight Batman and beat Batman. So essentially Slade's just telling us that his plan was to have a battle with this quote-unquote unhinged version of Batman and then eventually lose on purpose to get caught. However, Batman never gives him the opportunity to do so. Slade had pulled out a knife to attack Batman, and Batman just countered with this unhinged brutality, using a batarang and stabbing it right in Slade's eye, showing that within this fight, Slade didn't lose on purpose, he just got outskilled before he can finish having his good fight with Batman. So yes, this is a valid showing for the Caped Crusader.
At this point in time, the two have no more new fights, but there's still more indicators of inverse between the two. In DC's most recent Crisis event, Deathstroke returns stronger than ever due to being superpowered by the Lazarus Pit and his own healing factor. Slade runs into his biggest rival, the Prince of Gotham, Nightwing. Nightwing faces off against Slade in a one-on-one brawl where Nightwing, while being badly injured, fights and defeats Deathstroke. Up until this point, Nightwing is a character who's been stated to be second only to or equal to Batman. Given the evidence of Batman scaling relative to Nightwing, being stated to be the best fighter in DC, and Slade being stated to be near equal to Batman, it's 100% logical to assert that Batman is capable of performing the same feat as Nightwing. Batman, through his history with Deathstroke, has always fought close with him, and every fight has been difficult, but after a certain point, Deathstroke was only able to keep up with Batman due to Batman holding himself back, by Slade's own admission. After this era of the two still being comparable, Batman just started showing clear superiority and having the clear inverse scaling over Deathstroke. So all in all, if the two were to fight all out with no restriction, Batman would walk away the victor.
So your winner is the Dark Knight.
That is going to do it for today's video, folks. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time, it has been the Hive Mind.